Module 5, Site Plan, Part 2. Okay, Joe Cerrone here. We left off with a drawing that we started for a site plan for a home with the landscape architecture on it. And we were given a prototype drawing that we downloaded, and we verified the dimensions of the home plan, and then we went and created the shrubbery. And so we left off at this point where we created these shrubs, which we then made as blocks, and then we just inserted the one tree, and we'll put some of the other shrubbery on as we go through this guide. And so in the next part of this drawing, we're going to take a look at putting the swimming pool and the box areas in. Now this drawing doesn't really show much, but it does show the natural gas line in the sanitary sewer and the water service lines, and I believe those are on the drawing already. And so we do have these two lines. We need to add the natural gas line, and so as we look at those drawings, what we may want to do is to add the word sanitary sewer like we have here, and that would be done with a multi-liter. And so to do that, what we would do is go to the Annotate tab, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch the layer over to a dimension layer, and then I'm going to go to the Annotate tab, and I'm going to select multi-liter. But before I select multi-liter, let's look at the multi-liter style. And you can see that this has the attributes that we want. It's going to have this, what they call a spline. And so if I look at it, I can see that the liter format is for spline. If I look at the liter structure, we've got a dimension scale of 96 on it, so that the text is going to be readable as well as the arrowhead. And then the content. When the attachments, I usually like to have them both to be middle of top line. And so I'm going to update that. And then I'm going to close it. And I'm going to go and use a multi-liter. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the nearest oak snap. And so I'll say nearest, and I'll select this line. And then I'll kind of curve this thing out there. And then I'll type in our text. And there we go. And then we'll put the water service line in next. Again, we say multi-liter and shift right mouse click, nearest. And the reason I use nearest is I want the arrowheads to touch. I mean, it's really just about it. You can kind of eyeball it, but it won't come in exact. So we'll put our water service line in. And we don't have the gas line. We've got the liter for that, but we don't have the actual gas line. And so I'm going to go back to my home tab, and I'm going to see if I have that line type loaded, which I do in my prototype drawing. If you don't have the line type loaded, what you have to do is to select other and then load it from a list of drawing line types. And in some of our advanced CAD courses, we used to teach how to create hatch patterns and line types. But if you do some Google search, you'll find how to do that. And so we do have this line type loaded already. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to enable it. And so let me just close out of that. And then I'm just going to say, okay, I'm going to put this, let's see what layer that would be. I'll put it on the gas line layer. And then what I'll do is I'll select, now it should be by layer. So let's look at the properties of it. And so here's the gas line layer. The line type properties will match. It should be fine. So once that layer is current, all we need to do is to create the gas line, and it's just regular straight lines. So you could spline it, but we're going to just do straight lines with that. And so we'll say line command, and then it appears to go somewhat like this. And I'm just going to kind of come in here and give it my best eyeball location to line that up. And looks like if I go from left to right, it comes out different, so I'm going to have to start a different spot. So it looks like we'll have to start off at the building. And so we'll say from approximately here, nearest. And you can see that that object snap will grab that. And then I'll bring that out, keeping this straight with polar. And then I'll bring it down this way. Of course it goes through a shrub, but probably wouldn't be the best idea. And I'll bring this down to about here, and then over, and then I can shore this up a little bit with a grip. And so that relates to how to put in different line types and then to label them with multi-leaders. In the next drawing, we're going to put the outline for the swimming pool and the flower box onto the drawing. And so the pool is 16 feet 4 inches by 31 feet 4 inches. Seems like a pretty nice sized pool. Switching back to AutoCAD. It lays out the location for the pool actually from the house as being 9 feet 4 inches from this line and 9 feet 4 inches from this line. And so I'm going to start off by offsetting those two lines. Let's see if I have a pool layer. I do. And I'll offset that with the modify command, offset 9'4". You don't have to use the inch mark because it is the default. And then we'll do this one as well. And that'll give me the corner of the pool, which I will use fillet with a radius of 0 rather than trim to outline that. Now, it didn't put them on the pool layer because these are red lines. And so I'm going to highlight them and change them over to the pool layer and then hit escape. Now they're still red, so I'm going to select these lines and make sure that the properties are by layer. And now it's on the correct layer and line type. We're going to offset this line 16 feet 4 inches. And then we're going to fillet these again with the radius of 0. It remembers the last value, so I don't have to type it in every time. I'm going to offset this 31 foot mark 4. And like I said, you don't have to do the inch, but if you want to, that's what it looks like. Fillet with a radius of 0 is a little faster than trim, maybe 1 button stroke. They don't really give like the perimeter. They kind of show like an outline with an offset. And so let's see what 6 inches looks like on that. You'll find a lot of your architectural drawings don't have every dimension on it. And so we'll offset that 6. That looks good. Select the line, select the side, and then again we're going to trim up those lines with the fillet command in a radius of 0. And you can hit right mouse button to repeat the command or hit the space bar. So that's my pool, and then we're going to go and locate this flower box over here in the corner, and so we're going to offset that 5 feet 6 from the back two corners. So we'll say offset 5 feet 6. And then I'm going to just leave that, well, let's see what our options are for different layers. Not too many options, and so I'll just put that on the landscape layer. And I'm going to say by layer to get rid of any overrides. Fillet that. And then we'll offset that. Now they don't give me the size of this tree box. I'll see if it's in the next one. Doesn't appear to be. And so I'm just going to go and put in what I think it looks like. And so we'll say, let's try 8 feet. So let's offset that. And we'll say 5 feet the other way. Could probably be a little bit bigger, but for the sake of the video, I don't think it is critical. And then we have some additional flower boxes located 5 feet 6 inches. And rather than go through the offset and trim commands again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to disable my dimension layer by hitting the light bulb and turning that off so that I can work without the clutter. And then I'm going to go to my drawing, which I finished, and I'm just going to borrow that geometry. I'm going to say insert, and I'm going to say copy with base point. So I'm going to say edit, copy with base point, and I'll copy these from that point right there. And then I'll go back to my drawing and I'll paste them, Control V. Now I probably should have picked my base point a little bit better, because as I look at the drawing, it's showing on this next page that these flower boxes are 5 feet 6 from the edge, which is not hard to fix. 5 feet 6 and 4 feet 6. So what we'll do is come back and we'll offset 5 feet 6, and then we'll come back and we'll offset 4 feet 6 to locate the corner of that flower box, and then we'll just move them. Say move, blue window, enter, turn on my O-snap from this point to this point, and we've got that located. And then once we have those flower boxes located, you can go through and put the flowers in. We also want to put a radius on the pool. And so if we come back to this, they've added some annotation to it. And so they said put a 3-foot radius in the pool perimeter. And then these 4 by 6 by 10 garden beds we can populate with the bushes. And that'll complete this part of the video. So to put a fillet on with a radius, we collect the fillet command, say radius 3 feet, enter, and we'll put it on. Now if we put it on the interior radius, then offset it 6 inches, it'll be 3 feet 6, and so I'm going to put it on the exterior radius, and then I'm going to offset the exterior radius 6 inches so that the bend radiuses line up. Otherwise what will happen is you'll see that they're not quite concentric about the center points. And so we can either change the fillet to 2 feet 6 inches, or we can offset. So it would be easier to change the fillet radius, but I just want to show this technique. And so I'll say offset 6 inches, and you can see it comes in right where it's supposed to be. And then I would have to trim it. And if I hit enter, everything's a cutting line, which means I'll have to do a little bit of cleanup work. But that's the kind of thing, versus if I was to go and fillet it with the 3 feet, which is still modal, it's not quite right. And so I'm going to delete that, and then I'm going to offset 6 inches. And then I can grip it. AutoCAD has some really nice things about it as far as to work with these grips. I really like them for doing things like extending lines by making those grips hot. And then we'll trim. And delete. Looks like I trimmed my line I need. sure if it's going to be on the right layer. Looks like it is. Okay. Alright, and so we have our pool, and we have our flower beds, and then if we want to insert some flowers, let's use this one right here. I know it's not the exact same one in the video, or in the PDF, but I kind of like it. So I'm going to say, on the Insert tab, I'm going to say Create Block, and I'll say Bush 1. And I'll pick the base point, which is where it's going to be inserted from. And then I'll select the objects using a blue window. And I'm going to say Retain, and I'm going to say OK. And then when I come up here, I'm going to put in my bushes. And so what I can do is I can say Insert, and I'll say Bush 1. And I'm going to use a scale factor, uniform, and so I'm going to say OK. I'm going to put it right about here, and then I'm going to say put it at 0.5 scale, and I'll OK that. And then what I'm going to do here is to array it, and so I'm going to use a rectangular array. Now certainly you could copy it and go through that, but if we use a rectangular array, it'll be very precise. And so if I say OK, that's the object, enter, and then I can modify by saying I want 2 columns, and I want that to have the number of items. Looks like I have 8, and so we'll say 8. And then we'll have to, that should be 4. Take that, and what's nice about some of the array options in the way AutoCAD is working nowadays is that you can grip them and just pull them where you want them. It's not exactly helping me on it. Maybe if I got that. But we can undo this associativity if we need to, and then they'll treat each one as an individual. What I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to adjust the spacing in between. Let's see if it lets me toggle that with a window or like a scroll bar. Apparently not. So let's make this 2 feet, and then let's make this 2 feet 4. Yeah, it's close enough. Let's make this 3 feet. Wrong one. 2 feet. Seems that I keep doing the same thing. And then we'll close that, and I'm just going to move them by hand for the rest of it. And then I can take that and copy that into the other 2 boxes with the straight up copy command from here. Alright, and that completes video 2.